What it do? We're back again. The Grounded Show with the boy Joe.
You already know.
Back in studio, just finished the move. And I know
You
that was
know, bro,
an adventure, man.
life has been lifing, but we're back. There's one thing that doesn't stop is this movement. I think we need to elaborate a little bit on the feel good night.
Facts.
Can we
Facts.
talk about that real quick?
Yeah, man. We had the R&B kickback last month, end of May, last Thursday of every month. Man, it was insane. Like, I'm not even exaggerating when I say we did 10 times what they normally do on a Thursday. So that was really encouraging. I mean, we started at 6. Before 7, it was already jumping.
Feel good. Like I said, it's a great environment. On Thursdays, normally there's 2 or 3 people in there. We had at least 30, 40 people in there.
Nah, facts, consistently.
We're gonna keep it going. We might venture off and do more, maybe, because R&B will be the last Thursday of every month.
Yes, sir.
But we might bring a lot of, maybe.
Yeah, man. There's
some other
definitely
nights
a lot of cool opportunities there. Shout out to Clint, man. We've been chopping it up,
big
and
shout out
it's
to
been a
Clint.
good vibe. It's rare that you find a space to do stuff at that the people that own it and run it are so welcoming, like with the space and so helpful. So that's been that's been a big alley-oop, basically, like with the whole event, because we didn't really have to fight with anything. It was just, let us do our thing, and we did it. And
April 30th, the next one,
man. Yep.
R&B
People
kickback.
are already going crazy about that one, man.
90s, 2000s R&B. Join us April 30th. We'll see y'all there.
Yes, sir. And today we got a very special guest, man. I met this man a couple times already before, seen what he's been doing. I'm tapped into his socials, everything he got going on. If you want to just introduce yourself real quick, let the people know who you are.
Yep, yo. I'm Robie Fox, comic creator, writer, and social media creator as well.
Yes, sir. So your dad actually put you on my radar first with the first book that you did, The Cyberman. And I saw all the movement you were doing with it, hitting all the comic shops. I know you had it in Acme, and they ended up selling out. Congratulations on that, man. That's a super dope comic spot. And to have it there and to have people respond to it, that must be a dope feeling, man. How did that feel when you got that news that they all sold out?
It felt pretty good, but then, of course, it also came about when I had to print more. So I made it made it 50 pages, which is something you shouldn't do for a first book. But, I just kind of had to, I guess, tug it out after making it that big.
Yeah, man. So you've been making these comics. How many years has it been since the first one you dropped?
It's the first one. I believe the first one was so right after I graduated high school, I believe, which was 2023.
Okay.
So it should be somewhere a couple
What high
months
school
after
did you
that.
go to?
Huh?
What high school?
Lake Brantley.
Okay.
Okay, nice. Yeah. So something your dad was telling us that I thought was pretty interesting was kind of how you got into it in the class that you took. I didn't even know that kind of thing really existed. So if you can kind of break down a little like how that process was and kind of how you enjoyed it and everything.
Yeah, it was at the comic store Blackbird because they do a lot of events, so they be like posting on their socials, like reading clubs and stuff. But this was like back in the day before they were even called Blackbird. But one of their former employees, because he's gone now, he got his own comic store in another city. But he was basically teaching people how to write comics and how to make comics, the actual process of printing and creation, putting it to paper, which I did when I was like 14.
This is what it's big about comics because I'm a big Marvel. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Marvel fan. I keep up with them, but the comics really set the precedence for these stories of a lot of movies that they're starting to make movies about. Like, if you develop a really good story in a comic, they can take that and make a big movie off of it. Like, there is a lot of leverage that you can take if you develop a good story off of it. So is that like what how you develop your stories? Like, how do you think of what you're making?
Well, I would like to get stuff adapted, but of course that isn't like the immediate first concern because a lot of people get caught in that trap of just trying to use comics as a launch pad and not like treating it as its own medium. But there are some comics that got super popular. Like, plenty of people don't know V for Vendetta was a comic adapted into a movie.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't even know that, actually.
It was a DC, actually.
Yeah, even like a lot of people didn't know about like Walking Dead, you know what I'm saying? That where they came from, and a lot of the people that kind of knew where the story was going was, the people that had already read it, and that even kind of goes into something I was talking to you about before we started. AJ, matter of fact, recommended Solo Leveling, and him and Mari. One of the last times that we were out here, Mari is somebody that an engineer that we know. And I was kind of asking you about it, and you had mentioned that you read the manga first before actually like before they even made the show or whatever. And just kind of talk. Did you actually watch the show, like, or have you watched any of it?
Yeah, I watched it when they came out.
Oh, okay. So how did you feel about it, like, kind of compared to the manga and like your expectation from already knowing the story?
Well, yeah, it was pretty cool. Seeing Faithful, of course, it did come out like a while after I actually read the manhwa, so didn't quite remember everything. But generally, it seemed like they followed pretty similar.
Word. So what do you kind of like feel is the thing that I guess like what do you like more, the comic when they adapt it for the show, like what do you, the mangas,
your
like
goal?
what's your main thing that you enjoy consuming? Like, do you like reading the mangas, reading comics, watching the shows, or just kind of a mix of all three?
Well, it's pretty much just a mix of all three. Like for animes, a lot of them I don't actually read the mangas because they're kind of direct adaptations.
Okay.
Comics I sometimes read more. A lot of the mangas I have read are stuff that like I read before they got adapted, like new stuff currently, things like that nature. But I kind of like them all roughly the same. Like I kind of treat comics and manga as the same because they are the same to me pretty much.
Okay. And then another thing I wanted to ask you was like, what kind of drew you to say, let me start with the comics, because I don't know if maybe it was something that you read when you were younger, or like what kind of sparked you that you were like, man, I could do this.
Middle school, I think when I was like 11 or 12, it's like when I figured out I wanted to write, but I didn't quite know like what field to write in. It was just the general thing of a writer. So I didn't know like comic writer, movie writer, show writer. But then like it was that class in the comic store that was kind of the linchpin to signify that like comic writing, something I could actually do like off the ground.
Gotcha. So like writing was like the first thing you thought, like, I want to be a writer. And what kind of brought you to that? Like the fact that you don't have no limitations when you write? Because I know that's something that I like, when you write and you can kind of just do whatever. You don't have to, it's not necessarily real. It's whatever you could think of. So you can just kind of build however you want to build.
Yeah, it was pretty much just the idea of creation and things of that nature. Like playing a lot of Marvel and DC games as a kid. Whenever they gave me like customization options, I just like to play around and change up the outfits, and I think that kind of sparked because I was like that customizing made me want to design my own stuff, and that led to designing own characters. I wanted to
freedom.
create your own world and stuff.
What how do you envision, and this is something that I always think of with people who do comics, like, do you envision the illustrations as you write? How does that come into play?
Typically I try to. Like I think pretty imaginative person, kind of like overactive imagination, I imagine. So try and think of all the
So
details.
as you write, you already think of the illustrations and how it all comes into play together, make sure it ties in together.
Yeah, trying to think of how it all flows and how it goes in sequential order, things of that nature.
Yeah, and that's what because like I haven't read many comics as a kid. Like we talked about it, like you guys were super into Dragon Ball Z and all that, and I never tapped into that. But there were certain ones, and I was like, how did this all like come to fruition? Does the illustration come first, and then the story comes after? But from what it sounds like, is like the story ties into what you're already envisioning for the illustration. So that's a good thing to understand for people who just don't read what's it called?
Manga, yeah.
Manga like me, you know what I mean?
So for me, something I wanted to kind of discuss with you is like, whenever you're like reading comics or manga or whatever, I always feel like the thing that will get me most from any story is like the lore. So like whatever the lore is for that universe, if the lore catches me, that's kind of the thing for me that I enjoy. Like for example, with Dragon Ball Z, the whole thing about the Saiyans and the powers and everything, that's kind of what grabbed me right at the beginning. Like, oh, okay, the lore behind this and the legend of these people in here is kind of what makes me want to know, like, what's the other parts of this, how, what's part of the legend, you know what I'm saying? For you, when you were watching cartoons and comic based things and manga and stuff, what were kind of like some of the things that grabbed you from certain stories that you were like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that I want to implement in my stories?
Yeah, well, it's kind of similar to you actually in the aspect of lore, because I always liked world building and character building. But like those are the things that come first to me, because I feel like if you have like a really good world and really good characters, but like a basic plot, they can carry that a lot more than if you have a really good plot, but like basic characters or a world and things
Yeah,
of
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because the world kind of like feeds itself almost, so you can keep it going with the world. But if you only have it based off of like one story or one character, it's kind of hard to build, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, because of that nature, it's like something like One Piece is like my favorite anime manga because of how much in depth they go in the world building.
How many episodes are they up to now? They're over 1,000, right?
Yeah, I think they're like over 1,100.
Wow, that's.
Should we ask him to give us a top 3, top 5?
Oh yeah. Definitely
Should we
wanted
do
to get
that?
into that because leading into that, I wanted to talk about like when I was younger. One of the comics that really got me into like Marvel and just comics and anime and stuff like that in general was I don't know if you ever read it. It's kind of older, but the Marvel vs. DC. I think it was 4 or 5 comics that they had. It was like from the 90s, maybe like the early mid 90s, late 90s, something like that, where they actually had like a thing where the worlds crossed over and you saw like Superman versus Hulk. Spider-Man was in there with, like Superboy and stuff like that. It was like a crazy crossover that had like all the characters and like it was like for me it was crazy seeing like reading the pages and thinking like, oh, who's gonna win these battles and seeing who won the individual battles.
That's when they had the rights. That's all it comes down to. Whoever has the rights.
Yeah, well, even that thing was like a big thing because when they agreed to do it, there was like rules as to like how certain things are drawn, who's gonna win what battle and stuff, which is also kind of something that happened with. I don't know if you're familiar with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, the movie that got like Looney Tunes and Disney people in it. Disney was very particular. They were like, hey, you can use our characters like this. You can only have them in certain scenes like this. So like you said, when you don't got the rights specifically, you kind of run into little issues. But for me, with the comics, that Marvel vs. DC was like one of the first ones that really got me into it. And after that, I was really big into like the Marvel comics. You know what I mean? And then later on, I found like the What If series in Marvel where it just kind of
that.
Yeah,
The
it talks
zombie
about
series,
different stuff, the zombies and everything. So like, what are kind of like some of the ones that you always check out?
So like basically favorites, certain like favorites.
Yeah, give us either top 3 or top 5. We don't have it.
Whichever,
you have
whichever,
a list?
whatever ones that come to your mind, the best ones.
The best ones. Well, I could probably just give like some of the top ones from different, I guess, worlds. Because Marvel and DC,
Okay,
I got
that's
my
cool.
own top ones.
There you go.
Yeah, let's do that.
Marvel. My favorite Marvel book is this book called Excalibur.
Okay.
It was like a little X-Men spinoff, basically like a magic X-Men team. Because the X-Men are pretty much sci-fi based, and I always lean towards magic a bit more. Well, technically, none of them were actually magicians on the OG team, but they were in like Britain because of the whole Excalibur theme and dealing with stuff like Merlin. And they had a Captain Britain because a lot of people don't know Marvel has that.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, a lot of the British humor and old school British stuff, like they would say things like walloping in British slang.
yeah. Use that slang in there.
Like Captain Britain would they'd get punched and be like, "Oh, that was a mighty fine walloping you gave me. Now it's my turn to return the favor."
Mighty fine wallet.
That's funny, man. Then so like in DC, what are some of the ones you like?
So my favorite DC book as of current is probably like Grant Morrison's Animal Man. This one is like
okay, I haven't heard of that one. What was that one about?
It's really gassed up. Like a lot of people that read comics, it's like in a lot of circles, but Animal Man's a bit more niche. So he's kind of like, he's got animal powers as we see the run goes, but they start getting like a bit meta and things of that because I think this was a little bit after one of DC's retcons. So you had like the old Animal Man's origins, and it was starting to interact with the new one, but the old one, like they didn't do much with him before. So the guy was like really playing around, and he towards the end ends up like even meeting the writer of the book. Like that's how far outside.
Oh, so it gets really like breaking the fourth wall type of vibes in there.
How do you feel about retcon stuff though?
Well, some can be good, some can be bad.
Yeah.
Of course.
But you think some is needed?
Yeah, sometimes they need to
Gotcha.
just change some shenanigan. But I do like, because like
They got to reset the canon of everything pretty much sometimes.
Yeah, and with less, it's easier to flow through because Marvel has a lot less than DC, so it's like easier to flow through because a lot of people treat them the same, but like DC's reset their whole universe like 3 times. Marvel hasn't actually ever reset their universe.
Yeah, between Snyder and everything that they've done. Is there anything you're looking forward to that's coming out as far as movies?
As far as movies, well, pretty much just all the comic movies, really, like Supergirl movie.
Yeah.
On that, because I read the book that was adapted from.
Oh, did you?
And
nice.
Yeah, I like that book.
How do you feel about how DC has done as far as the movies go?
Well, I think they're doing better now with how Gunn is doing. Because before, in the last world, they were kind of being iffy.
Yeah.
Especially because like Flash is my favorite DC character, and that was like the only Flash movie we got, and now it's just like a travesty.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like DC. The problem for me with DC has always been their villains, which I feel like that's why Batman is so popular. Because Batman gives a lot of emphasis to the villains and gives the villains a lot of story. So, like, people are excited to see, you know, Joker, Two-Face. They know these people.
And they just said homeboy Bucky Barnes is going to play Two-Face in the new Batman movie.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
I didn't know that. That's pretty dope. But what do you think about that, like, the DC versus Marvel thing? Like, what's your... I'm pretty sure people talk about that all the time, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I always liked them the same because, like, in my eyes, it's like picking between 2 children.
Yeah.
2 of your favorite kids.
Yeah, it's just like... So I feel like I'm, I guess, more unbiased or objective because I like certain things more in certain places. Like Marvel, I like their magic more, stuff like that.
How do you feel how they're going in like the multiverse saga and everything that's coming with Doctor Doom and the anchor beings and all that? How do you feel about that?
Well, it's always like so. Like some people got issues with the multiverse. I'm fine with it. It's always a cool concept. Sometimes people lean too much into it, but sometimes it's cool. Like I know just earlier this week, Storm had a new comic drop, and she was like outside of the multiverse, but like it was hints that she was in DC's world. Because I was reading that, I was like, wait a minute, that's outside the multiverse, and there was this thing called like the Source Wall in DC's verse, and I was just like, is she in DC?
That's crazy. I got to check that out. I didn't even know that was coming out.
Where can you go to like keep up with like comics dropping and stuff like that? New things like that.
Comics dropping. Well, I got like this one app called like I think it was called like Comic Geek Scene or something like that. I might have to check again, but it's like, it's like I basically kind of subscribe to comics, but not like a paid subscription, but it just like gives me notifications for anything I'm reading.
Stuff that drops and everything
whenever
like
stuff
that.
comes out.
Let's get it up because like I don't know where to go to find like because I would like to find some new comics, new stories that drop because that's kind of what feeds into these movies at the end of the day. So
Are you familiar with the Watchmen graphic novels and comics at all, or
no.
have you checked out any of the Watchmen stuff?
Well, I know of the Watchmen, but I think I read it when I was younger, but I don't really remember much anything.
Yeah, for DC, that's probably my favorite DC property, the Watchmen stuff. I love like all the stories they come out with about Watchmen, and just the way they kind of like put the reality into the fantasy, you know what I mean, and the way they kind of weave it all together, and how they put it like into like real history. Yeah. They kind of create their own lore in the history.
That's what you always told me, and I think I watched like the first season and I saw that.
Yeah, the Watchmen to me, man, I love Watchmen. It's like my favorite DC property. I enjoy that a lot. I like the movie, the comics, the show that they dropped on HBO Max.
Yeah, wifey watched it. She always tried to get me to finish it, and I never do because I don't do things. But I think I'm gonna put that on my list because, like you said, like I'm a real big story guy. If the story aligns and it makes sense, I love that kind of television and shows. So I might need to.
No, it's great writing in there, man. That's something for sure I would recommend to anybody. Even if you don't like comics, I feel like Watchmen is a really good one to kind of like get your feet wet because, like I said, it has that like reality kind of stuff in it, like the down on your luck,
like the history of the United States and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the writer of the Watchmen, I mean, he is really esteemed because like he did a couple books that are like super big at DC.
Who is it?
It's this guy Alan Moore. He did some Swamp Thing stuff. Like he did Swamp Thing's most popular story, which introduced Constantine, if you know Constantine at all. Yeah. So yeah, it was his Swamp Thing's run where Constantine was first introduced, and then he got his own series after that. and then he also did V for Vendetta.
Oh, he
which
was
is
the
a
one
good-
that did it too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he did a
it's the
Watchmen.
same guy?
Nice.
Yeah.
Dan, I didn't know
I
that.
haven't watched any of these either.
Yeah,
I'm
you haven't seen V
slacking.
for Vendetta
No,
either?
bro. I'm
Oh
slacking.
man, that movie is.
I've always
fire,
heard
bro.
about it. I've seen the memes. I've seen the stories, but I have not watched.
That's
that
a
movie.
super enjoyable one, and it makes sense that he wrote that one too because I can see it. I can see like the themes and everything. It definitely makes sense. But yeah,
Talk about this.
yo, exactly. I was about to say that. I got.
Talk to us.
Well, yeah.
I actually got into read the first couple of pages when you brought it today, and kind of see how you're like we were talking about with the lore. Like in the beginning, you're establishing kind of like the mages, the Mage Masters, kind of like where they rank in society, who's like you're kind of setting it up really well in like the first couple of pages. So I just kind of want you to break down the story a little bit.
Yeah, I want to know when did this light bulb click for you?
Well, this clicked right when this was like my first manga concept actually, which is why, because I got like a whole bunch in the drafts. But this was like right after I started getting into One Piece, so because of that, the verse is like really expansive because I started getting into world building, and the whole premise is that like God never separated like heaven or hell or all those areas, so it's just one big landmass where you got humans, angels, demons, gods, spirits. Like you can just take a boat.
That's a dope idea, bro.
Yeah, like you
that
can
is
just-
a dope idea.
You can
That
go
is.
vacation in like Olympus, for example. Like you could just elope there, a honeymoon there.
No, that's that's what I'm saying. That creativity, it's just good to describe because there's a lot of people out there who want to do stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you think of this stuff like this, you need to just put it on some kind of. So where did you start? Where was the first platform or first piece of paper? Where did you write it down the first time?
Well, I just wrote down like Google Docs. 'Cause that's usually where I like be putting stuff down. Just have all sorts of drafts or files in Google Docs.
Nice, and then you can access it anywhere, so it's super clutch.
Yeah.
So you kind of broke down the world a little bit. Let's talk about like the characters on the cover and kind of like their stories a little bit and how you kind of got to creating them.
Okay, so yeah, the main character, he's the blue-haired kid, Alicio,
Okay.
Hispanic and stuff. So he's like born with this black mark that kind of caused him a lot of pain. So, don't know, well, I know what the black mark is, but that'd be a spoiler. But like a mage master comes and just fixes his black mark like it's nothing. He's just like, and there you go. And like he grew up, no doctors or nothing could help with it. So he's just amazed that a mage master could do that, and that's just influencing him to want to be one.
Yeah, and the Mage Master that he met is that the other character on here?
No, because the other character is his best friend.
His best friend. Okay.
Yeah, this guy's he's Haruto, because I know I got a review for this. The reviewer thought his name was Naruto. It's an H, basically. But he's descended from like Leo of the constellations, because like
okay.
in this
Ooh.
world, the 12 constellations are like basically the world council. They're like 12 high kings and queens. So like each of them
That's
are
dope.
like super strong. Them along with the 7 deadly sins, because the guy that cured Alicio's mark was one of the 7 deadly sins. So those 12 and 6 of the sins, because Pride doesn't have any kids, people don't know who Pride is. He's a mystery man.
Bro.
So
This
they're
Guy
like,
got it
this-
tied in, dude.
You got
That
something
is a
here,
lore
bro.
if I ever heard one, man.
Bro,
That
if
is-
if you explain that in like a couple sentences and you
Yeah.
got that much, bro, I
That's
can't even imagine what the
crazy.
rest of the book is like, bro.
That's crazy. No, that's dope. Like you got it tied in. Really, like you said, you're creating a world that everything ties into. That is very, very.
And I'm guessing
very
you have like
exclusive.
more plans with this series to drop more stuff, or
oh yeah, definitely would like more plans though. Of course, this is a pilot because it has so much plans that I won't be able to like actually fund or produce because of how long it would go.
yeah.
Things of that nature. Like I thought of like, because to become a mage master in the world, you need to complete like 12 tasks. So like each of those would be an arc in this world. Would be an arc in the story. Each of the 12 tasks.
Wow, man. So to back it up a little bit, I know that the first one you dropped was Cyberman, and your dad was saying that the first prototype that you did at the class was also Cyberman as well. So if you can break down that character a little bit and a little bit the story behind Cyberman, because that was the one that you actually had in a lot of the comic shops, and that's kind of like how I learned about you more was through your like pushing of the Cyberman character. You know what I mean, and the book and everything.
Oh yeah, well he was like the first character draft I ever made, which is why I wanted him to be my book. He was.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but when you say ever made, like from when you were younger, like middle school, even like you had him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. So keep going. My
He had a
bad.
different name back then, but it changed and evolved. Because back then, I felt like a lot of my stuff was kind of just blatant rip-offs. Before like high school was where I started looking at my middle school files and being like, they don't really have much substance, and started like growing them up. But he was like, back then I was a lot more inclined to sci-fi stuff than I guess magic. So he was, I guess, Iron Man inspired, as you could tell with the suit. But I wanted to, I guess, flip the whole billionaire thing. So his riches are essentially a curse because his story, his mom is basically trying to groom him to be a mafioso. Because she's like a mafia boss with all her riches, and he rebels, which is what leads him to build his suit and things of that nature.
Damn.
Nice, man. That's crazy. Give me 1 second, real quick. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm super impressed with. I mean, it's crazy because I talked about how the lore is like the thing that really grabs me as far as like the stories with these comics and everything, and the way you've thought of like all the layers of the world and the way. One of the things you mentioned was like, kind of like I forgot exactly what you mentioned, but like the 12 tasks?
The seven deadly sins and
The constellations.
the
No,
constellations.
but you said something about some tasks or some things you had to do.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because like the constellations are the ones that like knight you, so you had to go and do a task for each of them to get knighted. And if you get knighted by all 12, that's how you become a Mage Master.
Yeah, because like even that part of it is like it's not only the world and the characters, but it's also like the things you have to do in that world, and like the way you got this all mapped out, bro. Like this is definitely something that you got to keep expanding on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you said, it's 12 constellations. Each one of them has the
Yeah.
task, so there's just so
You're
many layers there.
establishing, like, yeah, exactly. You're establishing layers that you can keep expanding on to keep this thing going. That's a good way to. That's a foundation.
So the Mage Masters one, is this something that you're trying to also get into the comic book shops and stuff? You moving around with this one, or?
Yeah, well, also, got it into one store so far. Haven't put it into too many because I was going through like a tour, doing a bunch of shows. But like the first store, Blackbird, that I did it at, gave them some copies because that was the premiere. So already in there.
Nice. And then as far as like the events that you be going to, you just go to all the comic book conventions and expos and stuff like that, and just kind of get your name out there. Is that like kind of how you're going about it?
Yeah, pretty much try and do that. Whether I'm like at a table at there or just going around looking around. Like got to go to MegaCon earlier this year because one of my friends got me a ticket, and even got to like give a copy of one of my books to some of the bigger name creators in there.
That's fire, man.
Yeah,
that's
that's
fire,
dope,
man. Honestly, bro, I really appreciate you coming by and talking about it. I'm really interested in the story and the whole universe you have set. I'm definitely gonna finish reading this, and I'm hoping that you got more coming from this, man. I know it might be a little while, but definitely keep going with this story, bro. It's a lot
man.
of dope
Like I
stuff
said,
in there.
let's have you back. Keep us posted on your progress of what you're doing and how your story is transitioning and how you're developing.
Actually,
all that.
before we go, before the thing crashed, we were talking about Cyberman, the story behind
yeah,
Cyberman.
yeah.
Let's wrap that up real
Yeah.
quick, and then we can kind of like wrap it up.
Well, pretty sure I kind of finished, but just about his story from what I did earlier. The whole recap was his mom was a mafia boss, and she's trying to groom him to be a mafioso. So he kind of builds his suit to rebel. The suit is pretty much an act of rebellion, I guess you could say, to just take charge of his own life.
Oh, okay.
Did you watch Ironheart?
Yeah, I did.
Did you like it?
I mean, it was all right.
It was all right. It was all right. The ending left it open.
Yeah.
The ending left it open for a
I
little
did
twist.
like seeing Mephisto because he's like one
Yeah,
of my favorite Marvel
Oh,
comic.
yeah.
That's what I'm
villains.
saying. I don't know if she agreed to the terms or not. So we'll see.
So, what are some of the next things you got coming up with this book and just in general before we wrap up?
Well, don't got any real plans for this book. Obviously, got some of the stories figured out, but like no real pen to paper, or I guess pen to page for the actual drawing it out. I do get like my fourth book was technically already done because it finished actually before this one, even though I planned this one to be my third. So I was just like waiting after all the stuff from this one dies down to drop my fourth one.
Oh,
sometime
nice. So
later.
you kind of already got that one in the can, kind of ready to go once you're kind of done working this one and getting people to check this one out.
Yeah.
Fire, man.
Where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, well, so I got a website, it's foxisland.card with 2Rs.co. So it's got like all my socials and links to my books digitally and things of that nature.
Yep, and we'll throw it in the link for the web for the episode, and we'll make sure we share it on the socials and everything so people can check it out. Super dope, man. One of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because I don't even really know anybody that's doing comics locally. You know what I mean? So it's cool to meet somebody that's in it, and you've been in it and active for a while now. Like, it's not like it's just something you said, oh, let me try this, and you just kind of half-assed it or whatever. Like, you actually took your time. You got these crazy stories that are super dope. So I'm excited to see what comes next, man.
Yep.
I really appreciate you coming by.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir, man. And y'all already know, stay
Stay butts.